How's it going, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another edition of the Refined Roundtable. It is content to keep you going in the midst of quarantine, which is never ending. I'm Brandon Bernstead, joined as always by Abby Lushai and Britt Thorson. How you guys doing?
Hanging in there, still inside.
I feel like you speak for everyone. Everyone's just, it's like, okay, yep, pretty much the same stuff here.
It's getting harder and harder though. This weekend, have you seen the weather forecast for this weekend? Holy cow, it's going to be in 70s.
It's going to put some people to the test, I feel.
Yeah.
This is the moment where I'm like glad I have a backyard, because like at least I can go out and do some yard work and things like that. Like quarantine has really made me like a proactive yard guy. Like I'm edging my lawn and like, pulling weeds and stuff.
Oh, that's amazing.
All right, enough about our quarantine experience. Everybody's living the same thing, just like at different variations. Let's talk about some stuff that's in the news, some pop culture things. I want to start, guys, with the one thing that made the news media around here pause the coronavirus talk just briefly, and it really sucks. I'm just going to be honest with you. It is murder hornets. Now, I saw the headline for this and I was like, okay, these things are probably like in the South or like, some like maybe like a swampy area. That was just my initial read when I heard the name murder hornets, No, they're in Washington. Murder hornets have made their way from Japan to our state. I think they found a couple colonies up in Blaine. Now, these are, as you can see, robust hornets, and they're invasive, and they're called murder hornets in part because they can knock down and wipe out entire colonies of bees, which obviously is not good. You want the bees out there to pollinate the flowers. They're a lovely species, and they're also, I believe endangered in some areas. They also are extremely venomous, and if you're stung multiple times, you can die. Guys, what do you think about murder hornets?
Oh wait, no, Abby needs to go first.
This is the stuff my nightmares are literally made of. You put me on Fear Factor, this is what you would use to scare me. Like, this is my literal nightmare. And I know that I read up all on them because like they're terrifying. And it said like they're like, maybe only 40 people die a year from these things, but those are just odds I'm not willing to take.
Also, just look at this thing. It's got very, like, I know this picture has been enlarged and stuff, but like those eyes are clearly visible.
Well, they're 2 inches long. Like, that's pretty big.
So I'm very action oriented. And so this was all very scary to read and stuff, but like, what are we supposed to do? Like, are we supposed to, if we see one, run? Can you see them just from the air? If you get stung, do you go to the ER? What are they doing to eradicate this species in Washington? Like, what are the action items we need to take here?
I did read that they don't attack unless provoked, because they're really just after honeybees. So like, if you're not a honeybee, I guess you're like not technically like super in danger, but like, for a lot of people, it's like fine. Like, when they see a bee, their immediate reaction, like myself, would be to like run. And I bet that's like provoking. So I'm like, probably just like stay calm or like move away from it. But I'm not a doctor.
My understanding, and again, we're just chit-chatting here, do your own research, is that they found a couple colonies in Blaine and kind of northern Washington and into like Vancouver Island. And this is the period now where folks, government agencies, have a chance to basically like eradicate this, like find them, take them out, kill them, yes, probably, and just, it's an invasive species. It's okay. We'd rather have the honeybees. Honeybees are lovely creatures.
Yeah, because like if honeybees are like almost endangered, or like, their population is dwindling, and these things are literally made to kill them, I feel like that warrants killing them.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, just of all the things, it was like the weather's getting nice, and all of a sudden you're just like, warning, murder hornets. It was just one of those like nature just slapping us with one.
Hold on, I'm gonna try and share the screen with you guys on my end really quickly because I was sent a really funny meme.
Oh, love a meme.
Oh, very pro memes.
Well, it's true. If there's one thing that's going to get people to stay inside, I bet murder hornets is a good contender.
It also,
my God.
This meme really hit it. It's like 2020. I think we went into 2020, all of us.
The worst subscription box ever.
It's like we went in with big expectations. It's like 2020 just sounded like a big year, like a lot of cool stuff was going to happen. And the opposite happened. 2020 sucks.
Just immediately off the bat. Immediately off the bat. And I remember I was in Seattle for New Year's Eve and there was no fireworks at the Space Needle. I feel like if that was an indication for how 2020 was going to go, like.
It was an omen.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we're in agreement that murder hornets are just the icing on the cake on 2020 here. Hopefully, we've got some really lovely people in public.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, oh God. I mean,
you don't know. We don't know what the rest of 2020. It's an election year.
It feels like it's December. It feels like it's December already. We've been here forever. Let's move on to like good news, or at least interesting news. And this one caught my eye as a former sports guy. Marshawn Lynch says he is in talks with the Seahawks about the potential of making another return in 2020. And honestly, this is the kind of news that I personally need right now. Now, if you follow the Hawks and you follow sports closely, you know that Marshawn and the Marshawn that we got last year when he kind of rode in to save the day when the Seahawks were out of running backs was not the same Marshawn Lynch that was full beast mode in, the Super Bowl era for the Seahawks. But at the same time, I honestly don't think I've heard CenturyLink Field louder than when he scored a touchdown against the Niners in Week 17 last year. Like, he is just beloved in Seattle, and if all he gets is 5 carries a game at the goal line in whatever the NFL season may or may not look like next year, it'll just feel good. The dude needs to be playing in a Seahawks uniform. And he's just like one of the best characters in the NFL. Like, there was a video that came out a couple weeks ago where he was just rolling around parks in Oakland handing out beast mode surgical masks. That's the type of guy that he is. He didn't want pub for it. He was just like, I'm going to go hand out masks to people. Like, he is phenomenal content and a legitimately, I think, a person who maybe does or doesn't get enough credit for how much good he really does for communities both in Seattle and in his hometown.
The city just gets psyched whenever they're talking about him. I mean, you're right. It doesn't, obviously he's extremely talented, but it almost at this point doesn't really matter what he does on the field because just the fact that he's there in uniform is enough to everyone just geeks out. And I think, carrying that kind of weight of almost being like a mascot of sorts is kind of almost as valuable, if not more valuable than, what you actually can do.
Absolutely.
It's his presence, like he at this point is such a legend, especially to a lot of the young guys that come in, that just having him in a locker room means a lot. His voice carries a lot of weight. And I think it would kind of be right for him to end his career here, whether that was last season or whether he has one last ride with the Seahawks in this coming season. And again, who knows? We may be playing football without fans. So, it'll be a whole thing. It's one to watch, but certainly a little good news for all the sports fans and all the Hawks fans out there. Some more, I think, good news is pop culture related is Nick Cage, who is going to play Joe Exotic in a Tiger King series And I mean, I just look at that guy.
It's perfect casting. It's absolutely perfect casting.
He's a force of nature. I love Nick Cage. The
Oh
Rock
my gosh.
is an incredible movie.
He's not even in character or costume or even anything in this photo, and look at the resemblance between the two.
I know.
That's why.
It's right on. What's the last thing Nick Cage did? I can't even.
Hang on, I'm gonna hit the IMDb while we discuss because
I remember him filming something in Portland, but I don't know if it came out or not yet. But I remember because I was down in Oregon the last year, and I remember there was something he was doing in Oregon and in Portland. I don't remember exactly what it was though, but I don't know if that came out yet or if it was for a project in the works. But I do remember.
Last thing I can think about, I think, was years ago, and it was that motorcycle flame rider with the face of the demon, but then also him, but then he was on a bike. Night Rider, Nighthawk.
Night Rider sounds right. Here's the thing, Ghost Rider.
Okay. Yes, Nighthawk Rider. Got it.
I'm gonna share my screen because here's the thing about Nick Cage. Even though you may not have seen what he's been putting out lately, my guy has been putting out content. His IMDb is robust.
Wow.
Look at this.
Untitled Joe Exotic project.
He's got, not counting Joe Exotic, he's got 5 movies that are coming out in 2020.
He was doing in Portland, but I could be wrong.
I think he had another 6 last year.
Wild.
Yeah, he's been working. He's a working actor.
Here's what I appreciate about Nick Cage. There are some actors who are picking their projects. Nick is if you send me a script, I'm going to do this. Where's the check? I'm going to go give it my all.
I didn't know
man.
I didn't know he was in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I just saw that on there. I didn't know he was a voice in that. It's a very good movie. If you're ready to watch it.
I have a more of a question. So, Kate McKinnon is playing Carol Baskin in another Tiger King scripted series or limited series, and now Nick Cage is playing Joe Exotic in a separate thing. Do we have too many Tiger King things going on? I feel like the Tiger King was a phenomenon, but I don't know that we necessarily need more Tiger King stuff. We saw what seemed to be happening with this.
That's what, so I watched it all, binged it, thought it was incredible entertainment. There's no way you can wrap your head around this sector of the world without, I didn't even know this existed, right? The big cats thing, that it was and then, there's so many good characters, but you're right. I don't know what else would they say about it other than just kind of redoing the documentary with actors. And so, I'll watch it. Don't get me wrong, I'll watch it, but
I'm curious if they'll lean more into the parts that were, Carol Baskin, did she or did she not kill her husband? Do you think Kate McKinnon's show is going to be more of she did kill her husband or something, and then
wink wink,
exotic, and his relationships and just him as a person and a character, maybe just making that more of a thing. So maybe they'll just lean in more to the little parts of the documentary series.
Yeah. I'll watch it all. Let's be honest.
Tiger King really was hard for me to watch just because I didn't like seeing the tigers and how
the animals.
So it was really hard for me to watch it, but it was undeniably insane. You just cannot. It's just wild.
Yeah.
Confession time. Didn't watch it.
I'm shocked by that.
I know. My wife Samantha watched it. She was binging it, and I walked in, and literally the moment I walked in was a Joe Exotic music video where he was playing guitar with big cats everywhere. And my mind was blown.
Yep.
But I'm
really surprised, Brandon. It's, if you enjoy drama, listen to your heart, which you've been clear that you have.
I do.
This
Should
is
watch it,
like,
by the way.
this is like, I mean,
It is just insane to think that people like this exist. And like Britt just said, like, I had no idea I had no idea what Big Cat Rescue was. I did not know this was going on like anywhere, let alone in the United States. And just every episode gets more and more insane. And you're just like, how is that something that actually happened? Like, it's just bonkers.
It almost is like if you gave a television show writer's room like a bunch of drugs and then we're like, just write something that's crazy, but then that it actually happened. Every episode's cliffhanger is crazier than what you just watched. You somehow are like, anyways, I think you should give it some of your time, Brandon.
What I've realized about myself is that I tend to watch TV on my own time. Like Game of Thrones, when it was going, I got into it, but I didn't get into it till season 5. I had to catch up. I missed the wave on Tiger King a little bit. So it's one of those things
a little later
that I will watch probably ahead of whenever these series come out, just so I have the backstory. But I missed the wave.
Got it.
Yeah,
Though
that's fine.
I know that everybody was in on it.
Don't beat yourself up about it, bud.
Thank you. All right, enough Tiger King talk. Let's move on. Tiger King, obviously, the quarantine watch for a while there.
Oh yeah.
How about a man who decided that he was going to quarantine at, and I believe this headline is wrong because I think it was at Disneyland, could have been Disney World, whatever. He went to an abandoned exhibit called Discovery Island, set up camp, called it a tropical paradise, and he just had no idea that he couldn't be camping there. But like, shout out to this dude for just finding a lovely place to set up shop.
Live your dreams.
At least he was social distancing. He was there by himself. If anything, he might be the most isolated person.
I love that. I love the guys on like work Zoom calls and everyone's like, oh, cool background, Jim. And Jim's like, yeah, it's totally a background. Totally.
He's a 42-year-old Alabama man. He said he was unaware he was trespassing despite the no trespassing signs everywhere. And now Discovery Island has been closed since 1999, so it may not be the most well-kept of exhibits, but they did eventually locate this man. And I think, honestly, we could all use like a little vacation, a little change of scenery. So this is just a shout out to this guy. Obviously broke laws. We don't like that, but
my favorite part of that is that line where it says that multiple deputies tried to talk to him over the loudspeaker and he didn't listen. Could you just imagine being there and then being like, you need to leave? And you're like, I didn't hear that.
That's one of those things.
No, didn't hear him. I don't know.
What?
That's one of those ones where it's like you're just willfully not hearing what's going on. I believe
hearing at its finest.
I believe kids like to do that. My dogs like to do that, I can assure you. They'll listen when food's around and things like that. They're not as apt to listen to other commands. That may just be me, though. My dogs kind of run me. I don't run my dogs. All right, our final hot topic. This one, by popular demand from you two, Britney Spears accidentally burned down her gym, and she nonchalantly announced it in this Instagram video, which obviously went viral. Apparently, she lit a couple of candles in the gym, forgot to blow them out, and then all of a sudden she walked by and just 98% of the place was on fire. No one was hurt except for her gym equipment. Everything but 2 machines was destroyed.
You guys, I'm so worried about her.
Speechless. I have no words.
This is sadly on brand for Britney, though, I feel like. And I'm glad no one was hurt. But I don't know if anyone else follows her on Instagram and has been kind of watching her for the past year or so. And I mean, she's got some weird Instagram posts that make me just feel sad inside. I'm going to forever be a Britney fan. I just like, it was how I was raised. I mean, I think she can't do any wrong, although knock on wood, God, who knows what's next. But I just worry she seems like a robot, and like the things she posts, and now she's burning things.
I'm curious because like Britney knows that she's probably one of those famous people in the world. Her Instagram is watched like a hawk by every like tabloid and person or just whatever. And I'm very curious. I'm like, is there just some things you keep to yourself? Like nobody would have known you burned down your home gym if you didn't post it on Instagram. I'm like, I burned down my home gym. I would not post about it on Instagram. So I'm just curious. I'm like, what did she think was going to happen when she posted that video?
I think it's just like the level of awareness of, think about the last time she lived in the real world, like actually the real world. And so big things like burning things down, I feel like for her, it's just something that she maybe like called her assistant and said her assistant needed to get a new, well, we need a new gym. Can you get on that? And so that's it for her. That's the level of like alarmity that came with something like that.
I worry that she is a cautionary tale about what it is like to grow up in the public eye.
For sure.
When you're as famous as she was, and there are certain athletes, actors, celebrities who reach this kind of pantheon where they can't go anywhere. And clearly that just does something to your mental state when you are equally the most watched person, maybe the most beloved person, and then the free fall is watched nearly as closely. There are certain people who can deal with it and who have the support system to deal with it. And I don't know that was necessarily the case for her, unfortunately.
Yeah. She does seem very like naively, innocently happy in some of these posts. So even when I worry, I kind of see like all of these signs, and I'm looking for these signs of like, oh, is she okay? She does seem, kind of, happy, carefree. So I guess, if that's a good thing, I guess. I don't know. I'm looking for a bright side.
The hope would be that she, I think, if she does need a little bit of help, that she gets it, and that she has people watching out for her, and making sure that she's taking care of herself and all of that. We obviously, she is, everybody like our age, Brit, grew up in the Britney Spears era. It was like NSYNC, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, that whole thing. So you'd like it to continue to the point where she can have a wonderful career, a wonderful life, however she wants to.
Yeah.
We've seen the free fall now. I think everybody's just at the point where it's like, I hope you're doing okay.
Every time I see her name in the headlines, I'm worried that like it's going to be something sad or bad that's happened to her. And I don't want the Britney Spears story to end in tragedy. Okay.
Well,
we're all there.
Put good vibes into the universe for Britney Spears.
That's right. Let's light a candle for her.
No, we're not. Just make it one of those faux ones.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
All right. Before we go, streaming recommendations. Who would like to go first? I have I think a good one. But Abby, I know you just thought of one. I just
thought of one finally. I was so happy.
It's not Vampire Diaries, right?
It's not Vampire Diaries. Netflix, Dead to Me. Have either of you two seen it?
Yes.
Dead to Me season 2 comes out on Friday. So a perfect opportunity for you to watch Dead to Me season 1. Christina Applegate, oh my God, I'm going to mess up her name. Linda Cardellini.
Linda Cardellini, that's right.
That is? Yeah. What's his name? Oh, the guy from Best of Me.
Mark Ruffalo, right? No.
Oh. What's his name?
Oh. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I'll IMDb it.
Can't think of his name. I know who he is. But anyways, really
looks like Ken.
But yeah, season
James
2.
Marsden.
James Marsden.
Yeah. Duh. Okay.
Marsden. Really good show. Great cast. Season 2 comes out on Friday though, and it's been much anticipated for like the last year. So.
Is it a comedy or a drama?
Both.
Okay. A dramedy.
Great humor in it, but it's very, very dark.
It's very dark, but like not in a real life
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't give anything away, but the basis of it is that the lead is has lost her husband.
Yeah.
And so she's grieving. She's going through the grief process. But somehow they make it a comedy sometimes too, but in a way that works, not in kind of like a gauche way. And yeah, it's very good. Great writing.
The way that the first season ends on that cliffhanger, like, just makes the anticipation for season 2 that much sweeter. But anyways, that's my recommendation.
Yep.
And Brandon, you should watch it.
Okay, good pull. I'll probably watch it on my own time, realistically, so it'll be like before season 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
But,
in the next 3 years.
Yeah, at some point I will get into it.
All right, what's yours?
Oh, okay. I have got the sports guy in me. I finally sat down and watched The Last Dance, which is the MJ documentary that ESPN is doing, and it is so good.
Really?
So interesting. I think it is particularly impactful for me because I grew up a huge Sonics fan, like so many people in this area. RIP to the Sonics. Hope they come back. That was really the first sport that I remember going to, and seeing MJ play at Key Arena against the Sonics with Peyton and Kemp and that whole really golden era of basketball is a super fun memory. So it's fun, of all, to revisit it. Like, even just listening to the Jock Jam soundtrack that used to play during the games is incredible. But it is also a picture of somebody who is incredibly competitive, incredibly great at what they do, and also in kind of the same way we talked about, dealing with life in the public eye and stuff going on behind him. And this is all footage that was, they followed him, they captured all this footage. It's all like incredibly behind the scenes stuff that you've never seen before. They're talking about things that made headlines that maybe we didn't really get a ton of backstory on. They interviewed everybody for it. It is phenomenal. It is filling the sports void for me. I sat down and watched it like with commercials on Sunday, which is something.
Wow.
I honestly, I will DVR anything, but I was locked in and watched it for 2 hours. So there are 6 episodes in. It's 10 episodes total.
Wow.
You can watch them all on demand. It's on ESPN Sunday nights, and it is worth your time if you are a sports fan or interested in MJ or the whole deal. It's honestly, sports fans, non-sports fans will enjoy it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What about you, Brett?
Mine was, I'm a big reader. I've been reading a ton this quarantine. I'm like literally eating books like it's my job.
That makes
And one of the books that I read earlier that like a couple weeks ago that I loved is called Normal People. And coincidentally, this last week, Hulu came out with a series on normal people on the same story. And so then I binged the entire 10 episodes or whatever this weekend. And while the series, I don't think, for me, it's very hard for anything to be as good as a book. I still really enjoyed it. And they're kind of little known actors, Irish actors who played the whole entire cast. And I thought they actually did pretty well. And the book was so good that like you really can't go wrong with the story, however you tell it. So if you're a reader, read it first. Definitely read it first. And if you just want a good thing to watch, Normal People on Hulu.
What is it about?
It's about a girl and boy in Ireland who kind of essentially fall in and out of love for like high school, college, after college. And it's kind of their interwoven lives together. A lot of like some class stuff, some family stuff, travel stuff, abuse stuff. I mean, they really go in and out of just what a decade together looks like. And it's good. It's interesting.
All right. Well, I would just say that was the best streaming recommendations we've given. I'm just going to be honest with you. It felt like something for everybody in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
The big question is what we're going to come up with next week. So we've got to continue to binge shows just so we can recommend them at the end of this.
Next week I'm going to recommend Dead to Me because then we will have watched it. And so then I'll, yeah.
All right. We'll look forward to that. Guys, have a great week. We'll talk next week.
Okay, bye.